Now that I've hit 1,000 subscribers, I feel like I am legally obligated to make a tier list because you're not a real YouTuber if you don't make a tier list. So that's why I'm not only making one tier list, but I'm making 3 tier lists. That's right, I'm making 3 different tier lists for each year that I've trophy hunted, starting with 2022. This was my first year of being a trophy hunter, and it was definitely my most casual year. Because of that, I only platinumed 9 games this year. And for these 9 games that I platinumed, these were not games that I actively seeked out because I wanted their platinum trophy, but rather because I actually just wanted to play the game and enjoy myself. Because at this time, I didn't want to platinum any game. I just wanted to enjoy a game, and if I got the platinum trophy along the way, so be it. That was my mentality in 2022, and I definitely didn't want to deal with any missable trophies or guides, so I avoided games that had missables or that required you to have a guide to play the game. That wouldn't come until my 6 years of trophy hunting, aka 2023 and 2024. Never, man, but we'll get to that in the next video. For now, we're gonna be taking a look at my first 9 platinum trophies. So the first game that I platinumed was Bloodborne. Now, if you've been following the channel, then it should be no surprise to you that I love Bloodborne. And this first platinum wasn't really even a platinum experience. This was a game that I was just playing casually, and I kind of wanted to change things up because I just got my PlayStation 5. This is probably my 10th or 20th playthrough of Bloodborne, and I wanted to do something a little different from what I had normally been doing. So when I was playing the game, I had noticed that achievements were popping, and my neurons started clicking in my brain. I was like, oh my god, what is this magical sensation? So I started looking at Bloodborne's achievements, and I was like, oh, this doesn't seem too bad. This definitely seems something doable that I can handle. So I don't think that sentence made sense, but you get the idea. So I started playing Bloodborne and trying to go for trophies whenever I could, but I wasn't using a guide or doing anything efficient. I just grabbed trophies whenever I was able to. Bloodborne was very, very casual. I didn't use any cloud saving. I did the 4 playthroughs legitimately, and then I also did the Chalice dungeon legitimately as well, because there's a way that you can actually just load straight to the Thumerian Queen if you have done just some of the Chalice dungeon work. So it's definitely a very easy platinum to get if you have experience with Bloodborne and you know about some of the exploits you can do in order to get the platinum faster. But I'm basing it off of my initial experience. So because of that, I would put Bloodborne at normal. Now, some people might be surprised that I'm putting Bloodborne at normal, but if you compare Bloodborne's platinum trophy list to some of the other Soulsborne games, then you would see that Bloodborne's platinum trophy list is pretty easy in comparison to some of the other ones that we'll be covering down the road. And out of all the Soulsborne games, Bloodborne is probably the game that I have the most experience in behind Dark Souls 3. So I already knew where I was going. I already knew where most of the weapons were. I already knew where all the bosses were and how to beat them. So it wasn't really a challenge for me in the sense of, oh my god, I'm dying to this boss over and over again. I need to keep fighting this thing till I win. It was more so the Chalice dungeons that were the challenging part for me, because obviously I did each individual Chalice dungeon and grinded all the Chalice dungeon parts that you needed to advance that. So that was definitely the hardest part of the platinum. Also, I'm sorry if I'm offending people by saying that I think that Bloodborne's platinum was easy. But if you look at some of the games on this tier list, you'll understand why I think it's a normal difficulty out of some of the other games I've played. But anyway, that's what I think of Bloodborne. But now we're going to be talking about my next platinum trophy, Elden Ring. Now, Elden Ring was interesting because I wasn't trying to go for its platinum trophy. This is a game that I just so happened to have gotten the platinum as I was playing the game. Now, I'm not going to lie. The ones that involve getting the weapons and the special spells, I did look up a guide to get those because those are the only achievements I had left, because I had literally done everything else on my own casually. So I guess you could technically say that I was going for the platinum at the end, but most of the experience was just me playing the game, and that's kind of how I got the platinum trophy. And I loved Elden Ring's platinum. I just really like games where you don't need guides and there aren't any missables. You can just play the game at your own leisure. Even though Elden Ring actually does technically have a few missables, it has a couple of weapons, but they're so easy to get that like you don't really even need to worry about it. And even if you do miss them, you're gonna have to do another playthrough anyway, unless you're obviously going for the cloud save method where you just cloud save all the endings. But yeah, I would say that Elden Ring has another easy trophy list in comparison to some of the other Soulsborne games. However, I'm still gonna put it in the normal tier list, and I'm actually gonna be putting it above Bloodborne. Now, some of you might be surprised that I'm putting Elden Ring above Bloodborne because a lot of people would consider Elden Ring's trophy list to be easier than Bloodborne's. And I would say for the most part it is. However, there was one trophy that was very difficult to get, and that was the Malenia trophy. Now, obviously, I fought Malenia a bunch since I got that trophy originally, but during my first playthrough and when I was going for the Platinum trophy, the Malenia took me, I want to say like 3 days to a week to beat. And at the end, I caved and used a Mimic tier, so I didn't even really beat her on my own. Obviously, I would go back and solo her because I did the speedrun video and then obviously the Fireball only video and then the mystical lost Glintstone Pebble video that I also did. So I would eventually go and solo Malenia. But remember, I'm looking at these Platinum trophies in terms of the actual experience. Now, there was no trophy in Bloodborne that was as difficult as Malenia's. And you're probably thinking, well, what about the Orphan of Kos? Well, the Orphan of Kos is DLC. It's not included in the main Platinum. It's a DLC trophy. And yes, the Orphan of Kos is really hard. But out of the two, I would say Malenia is harder than the Orphan of Kos. And you can let me know in the comments if you think Malenia is harder or if you think the Orphan of Kos is harder. I personally think Malenia is harder. I fought them both a lot at this point, so I think that Malenia is just a little harder, mainly because of the health regen mechanic and the fact that she has 2 full health bars, but that's just me. So because of that, I'm putting Elden Ring in front of Bloodborne, but I am still keeping it in the normal tier. Now, the next game I want to be talking about is God of War. Insert the year. I forget if it's 2017 or if it's 2016. This was my first game that I actively was seeking the Platinum trophy for. I started this game because I was curious about the God of War series now that I had my PlayStation 5. And as I was playing through the tutorial, I realized, man, this would be a really fun game to go for the Platinum trophy for. So that's what I did. So at this time, I was working a night shift. I'd work a 4 p.m. to a 2 a.m. shift. And I didn't get a lot of time to myself, but whenever I did get time to myself, it was playing God of War. I played this game so much whenever I could. It was crazy. I was obsessed. And I think what I really liked about my God of War experience was that there was no guides. It was a brand new game. The story was really intriguing. The gameplay was a lot of fun. And the trophies were, for the most part, pretty straightforward and easy to get, which I really appreciate in a Platinum trophy. Now, where am I going to rank it in terms of difficulty? I'm going to put it in normal, and I'm going to put it above Bloodborne, but behind Elden Ring. Now, I think Bloodborne is the harder game, but I think that God of War's trophy list is more demanding because you have the Muspelheim trials, you have the Niflheim trials, and then you obviously have the 9 Valkyries, which are pretty difficult. Now, you could play it on the easiest difficulty and get the Platinum that way, but I didn't do this. I played God of War on the hardest difficulty. So because of that, the game was obviously a lot harder. And fighting the Valkyrie in Niflheim was actually pretty difficult because you have to beat the Valkyrie fast enough to not die by the, I forget what it's called, but there's like some poison in the air and you have to like get a high resistance to it. I'll put the name on the screen, but that was really hard. Obviously the Valkyrie Queen was really hard. The Muspelheim trials took me a really long time to get. So there was a lot in God of War that was just more difficult than Bloodborne. It also took longer than Bloodborne in terms of time, like hours in the game. Even though I think I played God of War for like 2 weeks, just like Bloodborne, I think I put more time into those 2 weeks because the game was bigger and there was more for me to do. So that's why I would put it at normal, above Bloodborne, but behind Elden Ring, because obviously the Malenia trophy is still like a pretty difficult trophy. The next game I'm going to be talking about is Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. Right off the rip, I'm going to put this in very easy. I love this game. This game is amazing. I played it because it's a childhood classic for me. I grew up playing Battle for Bikini Bottom. And if you've seen my Wacky PSN profile video, then you would know that I used to speedrun Battle for Bikini Bottom back in the day. So I already have a ton of experience with the game. And because I had all this experience, the game itself was really easy. Literally the only thing you have to do to get the platinum trophy is just to 100% the game. Now there are 3 special trophies, but those trophies just require you to kill 100 robots with each playable character, which is a really easy feat, and you'll probably just do naturally as you play the game. Even if you didn't want to do it naturally, you could grind it out in some spots with like the duplication Tron. You could just hit the robots over and over till you hit 100. They're very easy trophies to get. And the game itself is also really easy, or it was for me personally. It's just a fun game. Not all the platinums I go for have to be excruciatingly difficult. Sometimes I just like to go easy on myself, and Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated was a game that I was playing for fun, but also realized that the platinum trophy would be really easy to get considering it's just a 100%, and obviously I wouldn't need a guide because I know where all the collectibles are. So yeah, I really liked Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, and honestly, I don't really have much more to say other than that. The next game is Cuphead. This was my first hard platinum, and I say that with air quotes because Cuphead is another game that I have a lot of experience with. Back when it first came out, I tried to S rank every single boss, and I almost did it. There are only 3 or 2 bosses I didn't S rank, and still haven't to this day. But because of that, I already had a ton of Cuphead experience. And I actually tasked myself with the goal of getting the Cuphead Platinum in under 24 hours. I failed this challenge because I slept in. I've already talked about this in my Wacky PSN profile video, but I slept in and I missed it by like a couple hours, which really sucks. Because if I had woken up early, I would have definitely gotten it in 24 hours. But Cuphead is a really fun game. It's obviously pretty difficult if you have no experience with the game, and my first playthrough was brutal. But when I'm ranking these platinum trophies, I'm talking about my experience with the platinum trophy and not my first playthrough. So because I had played Cuphead so many times, I'm gonna put it at normal, but I'm gonna put it at the very top of normal. I'm gonna put it above Elden Ring. That might upset some people that I'm putting Cuphead at normal, because a lot of people would consider Cuphead to be hard. It's only because I had so much experience with Cuphead trying to go for all those S ranks that I'm putting it at normal. But this could change. I might bump it up to hard, but I think I'm gonna keep it at normal for now. Also, one thing I wanna note, if I was including DLC trophies in this video, Cuphead would be in hard, because I struggled getting the A rank in the 4th island. It took me so long. So if those trophies were included, it would be in hard. It would be at the bottom of hard. But because it's just the platinum trophy, I'm keeping it at the top of normal. My next platinum trophy was Astro's Playroom, and right off rip, very easy. And I'm gonna put it behind Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. This game took me about 5 hours to platinum, and I did it over 3 or 4 days just because I would do it very casually. Again, this is just a game where you just have to 100% it, and you can play at your own leisure. It's very casual. It's not a game that like requires a lot of skill. It's just a game that's more so meant to be fun and meant to just be a de-stressor. And I kind of was just curious because it was a free game, and I was looking for a platinum that would be fun and quick because I wanted to get my platinum trophy number up. So I went for this, did it in like 3 days, and I had a blast. Just a really fun game overall. There's aren't really any trophies of note that I would want to talk about for this section. Maybe like the bunny trophy, trying to shoot all the bunnies with the snow gun or whatever. That one was kind of tricky, but other than that, pretty straightforward. And I put it at the very bottom. It is probably the easiest platinum trophy I have. Ooh. Nice voice crack. You gotta love them voice cracks. All right, God of War Ragnarok. Where am I putting it? I'm putting Ragnarok at normal, and I'm gonna put it ahead of God of War. And the reason for it is because I think the in-game content for Ragnarok is more difficult than the in-game content for God of War PlayStation 4. I just thought that the final boss or the secret bosses were pretty difficult for me. They took me a while. I was playing on the hardest difficulty as well, just like God of War PlayStation 4, and it took me a really long time to get this platinum, especially since the game is much bigger than the first game, and there's just so much content that you have to do. But yeah, I think that Ragnarok overall is the more difficult game. There are just more challenging things in Ragnarok when in comparison to God of War. But if you want to know which game I enjoy more out of the two, I actually enjoy the first game more than I enjoy Ragnarok. I think the story in Ragnarok is way better, but if I'm talking about gameplay, I think I enjoy the first game more overall. And I don't know if that's nostalgia being biased for me or what, but yes, I did enjoy God of War, the first game, more than I enjoyed Ragnarok. But Ragnarok, I think, had some really, really cool moments in it, and I think was the harder platinum overall. And my next platinum is Sekiro. This was an interesting game because it was a cleanup. When I was playing through Bloodborne, I was actually playing through Demon Souls and Sekiro because I had bought in all 3 games and I wanted to play all of them because I was doing a Soulsborne marathon for Elden Ring. And Sekiro was a game that I had played along with Bloodborne, but I wasn't going for its platinum trophy. I was just playing the game to beat it. Fortunately for me, when I did my first playthrough back in January, I actually did the ending with the true owl fight, which made my life so much easier because I just had to do the dragon tier stuff and then like the regular ending. So that grind wasn't that bad. I also did not have to do the Demon of Hatred because I had already fought the Demon of Hatred when I did that playthrough back in January, which is really nice. But if I'm going to rank the platinum trophy for Sekiro, it is the first hard game. Sekiro's platinum trophy is brutal for a lot of different reasons. I've talked about this at length already in my wacky PSN profile video, but one of the most grueling parts of the platinum trophy is the height of technique trophy. It's the trophy that makes you so you have to unlock all the techniques. And to unlock all these techniques, the game wants you to do those full playthroughs to get all the endings, because you can get skill points by killing enemies and it's a lot easier to do over multiple playthroughs. So because I cloud saved the endings, I had to do the height of technique grind, which is like a very tedious grind, and it's not even an easy grind because it's very easy to up and you can die, and then that resets your skill points if you die. So I was just running around killing the same enemies, and I think it took me like 8 hours to do. And that's not even to mention the lapis lazuli, the lapis, whatever the it's called. What is it? It's the this thing right here, whatever this thing is called. That is also another annoying thing because it requires you to do another additional playthrough to get the materials that you need in order to max out all the weapons, because you have to max out all the weapons, not just collect them, but max them out. That's also not even to mention all the bosses you have to fight, because you have to fight Saint Ishin, which is like one of the hardest bosses in all of Soulsborne for me. I think that Ishin is probably my hardest boss for me personally out of all of the FromSoft bosses. So because of that, on top of the really grindy trophy, and just because the game itself, I would say, is harder than Bloodborne and Elden Ring, I'm putting Sekiro at hard. And my final game is Spider-Man Remastered. This is a game I got for Christmas, and I got the platinum in 5 days. Now, when I did my first playthrough, I really, really enjoyed the game. Now, what do I think of it in terms of difficulty? I would say that Spider-Man is at the top of easy. Now, the reason why it's not in normal is because the game itself is not super hard. There's no achievement that's really just like insanely difficult that just makes you want to scream. Now, there is an achievement in the remaster specifically that makes it so you have to hit 100 combo, but again, that is separate from the platinum. So because of that, I'm not going to include it as something I look at when I'm grading this platinum trophy on its own. But I would say it's easy. Now, I think it might be normal if I had played it on the hardest difficulty, but the game doesn't let you play it on the hardest difficulty. Now, I almost put it in normal because of one aspect. I almost put it in normal because of the crime rate in the specific districts. I think you have to beat 5 criminal challenges or whatever they're called. I can't remember the name of them. But you have to do 5 of them in each district, and they spawn in randomly. And this was definitely the most tedious trophy. I would just have to wait for the crime to go in a specific area, and that in itself was really annoying. But the challenges themselves weren't that hard. So because the challenges themselves weren't that hard, it was more so just waiting around for them to appear, I decided to keep this game in easy. Also, all the collectibles are really straightforward and easy. Sure, they're tedious to collect because there's a lot of them, but it's fun. It's not hard. Like, there's none that like are super hidden that you need like a guide to find them. You can find them all on your own, especially since they're like labeled on the map. So I think Spider-Man Remastered is a pretty straightforward, easy platinum. I wouldn't say it's anything too grueling. It took me 5 days to platinum, no guide, very casual playthrough. Yeah, I just really liked Spider-Man. And that is how I would rank all 9 of my 2022 platinum trophies. Now, I know that some of y'all want to see where I would put Super Meat Boy and Jump King and Slay the Spire, all that stuff. And that's going to come, but it's going to be sprinkled throughout the rest of the year because I want to space these videos out. The 2023 video probably won't come out until later in the year, maybe like around November or something like that. And then after that, I will do the 2024 video, probably in January of 2025. So you will figure out where all of my platinum trophies are ranked down the road. So if that's something that you want to see, please make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you'll know whenever I eventually cover my 2023 platinums and whenever I cover my 2024 platinums. Let me know what you think of the difficulty of the platinums that I've covered. If you think that one of them is harder or should be a higher rank than I put it, please let me know in the comments because I'd be very curious to hear what you think of these games. If you think Cuphead should be a hard game, let me know because I could honestly see it maybe getting bumped up to hard in the 2023 video, but I think for now I'm going to keep it at normal. But yeah, thank you so much for watching the video. My name is Ryan Kelly, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.